Alrighty, welcome again. And now we're going to have Scollab come to the stage to present. And they will have 10 minutes for their presentation and then another 5 minutes for their Q&A. You guys are good to start whenever you're ready.
Hi, my name is Rithik and I am the CEO of Scollab. As a high school student, I get homework every day. One day for my math homework, I got a difficult quadratics problem and I was in desperate need of help from my peers. However, outside of class, I only had two contacts. I asked one and they were struggling as well. I asked another and they referred me to someone else who I couldn't contact. When I emailed my teacher, it took almost a day to respond and the work was already due. This is a recurring problem that happens in almost every class, and limited opportunities to collaborate with peers is a roadblock in the student learning experience. We are here to alleviate this problem with Scollab.
Hi, I'm Vera, the COO. This lack of structured collaboration in schools is due to communication gap between peers and teachers outside of the classroom setting. Other existing platforms are not designed for academic collaboration between students, and there is no universal way for peers to collaborate with each other outside of school. This issue has existed well before, was aggravated by, and will continue to exist well after the pandemic. This problem affects most high schoolers, of which there are over 15 million in the US. We confirmed this through our nationally administered student survey, teacher survey, and school admin meetings. We found that 94% of students use phone numbers and 64% use social media when attempting to collaborate with peers after class, both providing distractions and limited access to classmates. Moreover, when interacting with teachers, 97% of students contact their teachers via email, which they say delays response time. This is not the teacher's fault. They simply do not have the tools to interact and connect with students in the way they would want to outside of class. We validated this through our surveys, where over 75% of teachers reported that increasing collaboration is an urgent issue, with a majority confirming that students are not getting enough academic support outside of school.
Our solution is Scollab, creating an interactive classroom work environment. In Scollab, students will be able to work and collaborate with their peers of their respective classes, providing a universal way for students to communicate and ask for help. Additionally, a Stanford study showed that people working collaboratively have a 64% higher engagement and success rate, something schools need to take advantage of.
Hi, I'm Siddharth, the CIO. So you may be wondering, what can Scollab actually do? Our features are diverse and comprehensive for both teachers and students. To work with your peers in your math class, we have our classes easily divided up. To easily ask questions to classmates or your teachers, we have a class chat with side conversations for smaller groups. To get questions answered as soon as possible, use our icons for class announcements, teacher questions, student questions, answers, and polls. To explain complex problems, we also have video call rooms and a whiteboard that are easily accessible. Each of these features was combined and iterated into our product at Scollab.org. All of our features seen on the graph were validated from our nationally administered student survey. We also validated Scollab with several teachers and admins who loved the actual product and layout.
Here is the real coded website at Scollab.org, where our minimal viable product is launched with our fully working functionality and backend. As you can see, I was able to log in and look at the class chat inside of my biology class. Here, a real-time question was asked about a problem, so I was actually able to create a side conversation for that problem. Here, my classmate asked a question and I'm able to answer it, and we are using the Q&A abilities, all using the chat icons to create an effective chat.
Throughout this year, a lot has been modified concerning our platform. As you can see from the evolution of our wireframes, at first we were focused on building a peer-to-peer workspace. However, our surveys indicated there was a need to increase teacher connection for students. We achieved this by including separate teacher questions, private teacher chats, and polls. After meetings with several high school teachers, we adjusted our platform and features to be more teacher-friendly. Additionally, administrators we met with brought up the issue of data privacy. We worked with them and limited the amount of student information by using only the student's first name, last initial, and email, conforming to minors' privacy laws. To get this far, we worked with a number of real-world entrepreneurs who helped us reach these heights. Regionally, Arun Nijawan, Sugandha Talwalkar, and Asit Goel were all instrumental in our early success. As our aspirations grew, so did our advisory team.
We work with Ben Bunger, who has extensive experience in edtech companies such as Adino and LearnLaunch in selling schools. We worked with John Gamba, who has worked with countless startups in our industry and co-founded Massive U. Additionally, we met with Susan Erickson, who with 30 years of teacher experience is an expert on how schools view edtech and reassured us that Scollab can easily expand into middle schools. And finally, we also worked with Joanna Smith, the CEO of All Here, where she was able to raise $15 million for her edtech company. All of our mentors we consulted with were paramount to the development of this company.
Hi, I'm Ogum, the CMO. For administrators, the buyers of Scollab, they themselves stated that a product like ours could improve the edification of students and the overall connection and understanding of information within the curriculum. For educators, additional teacher features allow for them to get a better understanding of how and what their students are learning. Our meetings with educators confirmed a product like this could be incredibly beneficial in the classroom. We offer teachers the benefit of freedom when creating classes. Scollab also makes their jobs easier as students will be able to help each other by asking and answering questions among themselves. Finally, students, the main users of Scollab, also get great benefits. The class chat, private chat, and chat icons allow students to collaborate efficiently and effectively. These features help students feel more engaged in their learning, as Scollab will help with their understanding of curriculum, in addition to improving test scores, grades, and social skills. Overall, all three customer personas achieve great benefits from Scollab.
Taking all this into account, we realize that we are only faced with indirect competitors as listed on the slide. Here we devised criteria for Scollab that must be met for a successful school collaboration platform, and our competition does not achieve this. Platforms currently implemented such as Google Classroom and Schoology are not designed for academic collaboration and are instead course management systems. For this reason, we plan to integrate our product with them in the future to supplement them, creating a unifying classroom experience.
The market that Scollab is engaging in is the education technology market. Schools in the US are a wide and diverse market, and the TAM is over $100 billion annually. The SM is over 27,000 high schools with over 15 million students and 1 million teachers to sell to each year. Most excitingly, the edtech market is expanding. In 2021, funding known as ESSER2 of $122 billion was approved by the federal government for schools to spend on products that fulfill the needs seen on the slide, and Scollab checks all of the boxes to qualify. Judges, the time has never been better to invest as the edtech market is growing at an unprecedented rate.
Hi, I'm Raj, the CFO. Our business model is to market and sell our product as a licensed and subscription-based service, where the schools would pay for the usage of all their students and teachers as members of the product. The price of our plan is our cost of $2 per member per year, making our LTV $8 per student and about $10,000 per school. The buyers of the product informed us that this price point is more than reasonable, as well as appealing and comfortable for them. They enjoyed the simplicity of the model as it was more enticing for schools that way. For our financial expenses, we are dealing with multiple costs, as can be seen on the slide. Our expenses projections are our current best estimate, so we're able to estimate our revenue and spending over the next 5 years. With very little expense on marketing, our CAC is very low, especially because schools buy for all members. As we discussed earlier, our revenue streams rely on our income from schools. With our $2 per member cost in mind, we came up with a financial estimate graph. Our projected revenue is displayed with the blue line and our expenses with the red line. With this data shown, we can estimate our revenue stream for up to the next 5 years, going from 5 schools to 75 schools. These projections are hyper-conservative and realistic, and by using Massachusetts averages of 1,250 members per school, we will be making just around $2,500 a school. Finally, this is a graph of our anticipated profits from our previous understanding of revenue and expenses. As you can see, our profits and our profit margin increases heavily over these projected years, from no profit to 36% and 86% margins respectively, clearly making enough profit from our appealing cost of $2.
Schools learn about Scollab in one of 3 ways: consistent pitching from our team, through our website, and word-of-mouth communication within the school atmosphere. The most crucial part of going to market is getting by Scollab through our 4-step process. First, schools can try our product by signing up for a free limited time demo for 4 of their classes. Second, we will get KPIs which are listed on the slide, such as the number of active users and chats per class. Third, using these key metrics and personal testimonials, we will then improve and pitch our products to the school districts. And with more KPIs, we will get a more effective cycle of pitching. Finally, schools will buy our product with no installation fee, as onboarding will be done through video tutorials.
In addition, our mentors, Joanna Smith and Ben Bungert, who have sold to schools extensively, have validated our plan, and this is a similar model that they use to gain their own success. School administrators we met with love the simple demo and buy process, as they say this is a simple model that they would use for purchasing.
Our timeline shown here displays our landmark events and estimated dates for those events. We've already hired a backend developer, and we plan to finish our product by August. From there, our continued pitching to schools following our 4-step plan will be initiated. In 2022, we will begin to expand to middle schools.
In our meetings with several of our own school administrators, they were interested in our product. We have letters of intent from some of the top schools in Massachusetts, like Lexington, Sharon, and Westboro school districts, for a potential demo. This represents a total of around 6,000 members already. With these LOIs, we've initiated the 4-step process, where once these schools and more start to validate, our company will greatly expand.
As high schoolers ourselves, we understand on a first-hand basis the academic struggles that students are faced with when attempting to collaborate with peers. Despite coming from a variety of schools, the 5 of us were able to come together to help solve this problem that we have such unique insight on. The world is changing and is more driven by technology and communication than ever before, and schools need to take advantage of that. We are here to help them do that with Scollab by establishing an online collaborative working environment for all of our peers to benefit themselves and
You're
students
gonna
everywhere.
have to cut it off right there. Thank you guys so much. We can go ahead straight back into the Q&A session. Remember again, judges and team, to keep the questions and responses as brief as possible so we can get through as much as possible. Mr. Malik, if you'd like to start.
Right. Thanks. Very good presentation. I can see that there is this collaboration feature between the students, so students can collaborate with each other, and most of their questions would be answered without maybe those questions being directed to the teacher. So the teacher's workload goes down. I can see that. But when teachers were responding via mail, she would choose her time to respond. Sure, that would lead to delays. But would now the teacher's workload go up because she'll have to remain online on this platform to answer questions, or at least be available to students for longer times?
Angam, would you like to answer that question?
Yeah, we think that actually one of the main reasons that you see such tremendous delays in response time from teachers right now is because email is just such a difficult platform to use for quick communication. Whereas a product like Scollab is very easy, as you saw in our wireframes, where you can easily essentially text a student back through this platform in a very safe and efficient way. Whereas currently with email, it takes a lot of time to first log onto the computer, check that email, find that email, reply, and then all of that. And then that back and forth, it just delays a lot of that. So simply by cutting down the time it takes to respond, we're actually cutting down the workload, even though they're more accessible.
Yeah, and as you said, how the students can now respond to each other's questions, the amount of questions will go down for the teachers.
Yeah. Again, just remember to keep things a little shorter, questions and responses. But Miss Freen, if you'd like to go next.
Great presentation, guys. I just wanted to follow up again, also kind of focusing around, do the teachers have to now validate or basically make sure that the answers given are actually the right response, but also, I mean, who's controlling what responses are given, and do they really genuinely answer the questions? So I'm guessing there's back and forth responses.
Well, the reason that we want students to work with each other more is because most of the time students do know what they're talking about. One or two might be confused on one thing here, one thing there. As students ourselves, I do trust my peers to answer my questions that I might have, because and for them, it's also effective for them to learn, because teaching is one of the best ways for somebody to actually learn the material themselves. So in a similar way, students are able to answer each other. And in terms of checking the accuracy, it's really on trust, but following up with teachers in class and stuff like that. And once again, we've increased teacher connection. It all adds up and helps out.
Awesome. Mr. Kamal, if you'd like to go next.
Quick one, guys. I mean, my kids are using MS Teams for their classroom, and so I saw that on two fronts you were putting yourself, ahead of MS Teams. One was tailoring it to the specific classroom, and second one was ease of acceptance. So most of the kids don't like Teams, but a lot of the functionality that we are talking about now can be done by Teams and would not even require local server, right? All of this will be stored in the cloud. So how would you, and at a price point, although your price point is quite low, I don't know, how do you think of that? What do you think of that threat?
Yeah, so we actually did some research into Microsoft Teams, and as you said, they don't actually tailor it specifically to schools. So you don't have any way for students to actually go into specific classes and actually work with their students in that classes. And speaking on that price point, actually, from our research, we saw that Microsoft Teams is a little bit more expensive for schools to buy, and our product is a cheaper alternative to that. And we have more features specifically for the students with our side conversations and our class chats to actually speak with one another, and we believe that we are a better platform than that for student collaboration.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Mr. Cohen, if you'd like to ask your question.
Hey, great work, guys. The quick question on this is have you done research on number of schools who are already using a platform? And then what is the shifting cost to moving over from one platform to another?
So I can take that question. We are actually not trying to really replace any platforms. The schools we talk to, most of the students we talk to, most of the schools we talk to use platforms like Google Classroom and Schoology. And those are course management systems and are not collaboration platforms. So we're trying to actually add on to that. We're trying to be a supplement to that. And as we said in our presentation, we are trying to integrate into those eventually. But we're trying to add on to that rather than replace them. So it'll be an additional small cost for the schools to get our product, and it won't be a replacement cost.
Furthermore, onboarding and all those things are done through video tutorials, so the cost to switch is actually very cheap. If schools are using competitors of ours, like Teams, for example, the cost to switch is actually very cheap because we have little to no onboarding cost at all.
Alrighty. We are going to have to move on now, but thank you guys so much. That was a great presentation. You guys did really good. But yeah. And now the judges, if you guys would please enter your scores.